hey, what if that is my calling? I have to accept that. But one thing that, I told to a lot of people who is like, I'm so proud of you for using your voice. Thank you for using your voice. Those things, I, expressed my gratitude. But beyond that, I said, use your voice too. Welcome back to another episode of Choosing Joy. My name is Xavier Khalil. I'm the host, creator, and producer, all of that, of this here podcast. And I thank you so much for joining me here on today again. Whether you are visually watching on YouTube or if you're listening on either Apple Podcast or Spotify, thank you just for taking the time out of your day to either get your day started, close out the day, or get you through the day. To just be able to hear me talk again about whatever God puts on my heart. Today's title for the episode is I Accept It. And I think this is a really good episode for me to get to a place of acceptance with myself right now, for where I'm meeting myself at finally. There's a lot of things that over the years I've had to come to accept about myself. And I feel like it's all really coming like full circle right now. And just all of the things that I was afraid of to what's the word? I'm already stuttering. We ain't even got a good 5 minutes into the episode, but I guess a lot of the things I was just afraid to step up to the plate for, that were always innately in me. Either I shut them down myself or they were shut down by outside forces. But I'm now in a space where it's just like, you know what, if it's in me, it's on me to do it. So that's where I'm at. And with that said, going to lead into the notation. And I have, my notations pulled up right here in front of me, but I just kind of said, a notation myself. So I'm going to say it again. It's in me, not on me. And I say that all the time. And I got it from a cousin of mine, she was, ranting on her social media one day on her story. And when she said that, it stuck with me. Like, when it's in you, it don't got to be on you. When it's in you, it don't have to be on you. That's the notation for today. When it's in you, it don't got to be on you. And the way that I interpret that quote is that whatever you carry on the inside is automatically going to show up on the outside. I don't have to front my energy. I don't have to front up a perception that I want people to get from me. Now it's just human in us to do that. And especially like, in a age where everybody just feels like, so accessible to everybody, there is a level of mystery that you want to carry. But when she said that, it's just like, it's really people out here who are like fronting, not being true, not being authentic, flogging, pretending to be something that they're not. And we've all been guilty of it. I know I have been. I've been guilty of it sometime before, but it got to a point, before I even heard her said that, I was just like, what's the point in pretending? What's the point in pretending? Seriously. So yeah, it's in you. It's in you to be you and who you are. No need in pretending. And when it's in you already, it shows up on the outside, good or bad. But we're going to talk about the good today. It's in you to do something good. It's in you. It's in all of us to do something good. And so when it's in you, you don't have to feel like it's so on your shoulders. You just do it. So that's the notation. Kind of all over the place, but it came straight from the heart. Know that. And now that just kind of makes me want to lead on into the journal entry and then to the narrative. And honestly, this is going to be a pretty short and sweet episode, because it's all about acceptance. And I feel like, you don't have to talk too much about accepting things, accepting changes, and accepting yourself, but only for so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the journal entry. And I pray that this journal entry, it aligns well with the message of the podcast episode, and also it aligns well with your life and your personal journey. So I'm going to shut up now, move on to the journal entry, and then I'll come right back for the narrative.
However, 2 days later, I went to Riverside High to support another friend of mine. There went a concert between all the short. We looked, and we had all of my friends, and all of my classmates, and all of my schoolmates. That's a huge spirit to performing our center for us. Because just like everybody else, we deserve an auditorium where we can host premier school-wide events with our family, friends, and schoolmates.
All right, so welcome back. I hope that y'all really enjoyed the journal entry. And of course, like I announced earlier, the title for the episode and for the narrative, of course, is I Accept It. And I'm going to bring it all full circle, but just recently, I was at a protest. And it was, I never find having to protest something good, because clearly there's something wrong in our society if we feel the need that we need to protest about it, especially when people of all backgrounds can come together and protest a common issue. It's beautiful to see people come together finally and fight a bigger issue that is not so divisive, or quite literally fighting the fight against divisiveness. But the fact that, it has to happen, I never wear it as a badge of honor, because it's just like, what have we as a collective society done to get us here, or not done to get us here? What ways were we complacent before that just have blown up in our face? How were we so complacent before that now complacency is not an option? So being at the protest, it forced me to accept something that I think I've wanted to not necessarily run away from, but dilute, which is the fact that I am an advocate. I'm an advocate for everything. I am a humanitarian. I believe in the beauty and diversity and humanity. Like, that's me at my core. That's who I am. And, these past maybe 2 years, I want to say I kind of got away from that, or not got away from it, because, the fervor lives in me. Like I said, it's in me to be that. It's not on me. But, I wanted to do it, more palatable. I wanted to do it more creatively. I didn't want to feel like I was overexerting myself, because in my past works, whether it was in high school, when I was, going to meetings, or when I was in college doing what I was doing on college campuses, or on TikTok, I just felt so super extended and spent, like I had no energy. I didn't know what self-care was. Like, I just felt so drained from the work. And so these past 2 years, when I was in I guess rebuilding, or trying to figure out how I wanted to incorporate my advocacy in an artistic, creative way that felt freeing, not so so much like an obligation. I was like, well, I'm going to do the podcast, And I guess this is my way for continuing that advocacy. But now it's just like, I want to do it both ways. I want to still focus on the creative side, but there's a level of aggression that has to be met with some of the things that we're going through. And aside from politics. There's a level of aggression that life has to be met with, period, because life is aggressively happening to us all the time. There's things that we have to accept all the time that are happening around us, and it's just so much that's on us. But sometimes we don't pay attention to the things that are happening within us enough, and having to accept those things as well. And sometimes the quicker that we're able to accept the things that are within us, it's easier to focus on the things that are around us, because the things that are around us, those are the things that are on us, but the things that's in us is going to help us get through. Stay with me, okay? So I want to take it back to 2016. That's when I started high school. I graduated class of 2020. And I want to take it to high school because I feel like, high school it's the beginning point of when, you start to grow into yourself. Not fully enough to where, you have free range to be able to explore all the parts of your life like you would in adulthood. But there's a level of freedom that is coming where, like, there's a little bit more autonomy. There's a little bit more, like, understanding of the world, beginning to build your own opinions and things like that. And sometimes that's when the rose-colored glasses come off for a lot of us, is in high school. Like, we stop seeing, things as such rainbows and unicorns, because that's just not the way of the world. And 2016 was a very prime example of that. Because, the summer, I can't attest to this because, 2016, that summer was kind of like a blur for me. But the summer of 2016, people were saying, like, high vibes, like, it was just great, best summer of a lot of people's lives. And then November happened. And that's when we saw the first presidency of the now idiot that's currently in office. And it was when I moved to South Carolina, originally being from Atlanta, there was a lot of differences and a major culture shock when I moved down here with extended family. The first thing, was there being, I'll start with the positive. So the positive was that the school that I went to, in comparison to the high school I would have been going to in Atlanta, had much more resources in education and in tech than I had been exposed to previously. Like, the middle school that I was going to, they still had books from 10, 15 years ago from students, being reused. Some of the books were just not in the best of conditions. There was a higher focus on education. Like, the students who I went to school with, there was like a drive of, going to school to get your education, whether or not you wanted to go to college, or whether or not, you wanted to go to the military, or you didn't know what you wanted to do after high school. There was just like a level of, like, students being on it. Like, students, like, going for it, going to school. Of course, now you did have the distractions here or there, but but overall, like, the school culture was just like, we here to learn, we here to have a good time, and we here to go home. The school that I went to was smaller, and I think maybe, the emphasis on, like, education and getting a quality education was probably more specified. The school that I went to was 80% black, and that's not different from my high school or the schools I went to in Atlanta. But the school was 80% black. We had a staff that mirrored that. We had a staff that catered to that. We had a staff that, was very focused and hyper-focused, especially on black excellence. I'll get to why that is in just a second. These aren't necessarily cons but these were definitely challenges. The school, it was located in Beaufort County, South Carolina, a very affluent county. I think it's probably the richest county in the state. But with that being said, where the students and the school was located was in the most rural part of the county. And of course, it being the more rural, there's less accesses, which means there's a lower socioeconomic status of the school. The school was a necessity for the community because other schools were being overcrowded. So in 2010, the school was built for the community which was a very hard fought 10-year battle. The county felt as if it was going to be it wasn't worth the cost, essentially. But the community did not let up for those 10 years. And then finally in 2010, that's when the school was finally erected. I'm giving y'all a history lesson on something. And I love this for me. I want to say the name of the school. I should say the name of the school. The school is Well Branch Early College High School in Beaufort, South Carolina. I'm going to say my school's name, man. It's a beautiful school. It's a wonderful school. I love the staff that has helped me. If it wasn't for the staff at that school, man, I wouldn't be able to accept a lot of the things about myself. Hold on, stay with me. I'm getting to where I need to get to. The school was just always underserved, and the school always had to fight extra hard. It literally tells the story of Black America to a T. Underserved, overlooked, and always having to prove themselves worthy. Stay with me. So I moved there 2016, and there was still a fight for the school. Now there were so many things that were happening in the county community, from the school time changes that just didn't align with parent and student schedules, especially for those who parents worked multiple jobs or worked long hours. But the biggest thing, the most immediate thing for my school was that we were still underserved in the capacities of our athletics and our performing arts center. Now, like I said, the school is located in the richest county in the state, or one of the richest counties in the state. Okay? There's 6 high schools in the county. There's 3 in Hilton Head, and then there's 3 in the northern part of the county, Beaufort. All of the schools, including the one that was built just 2 years before I started high school, had 2 gyms, one for practice and an actual game gym where, the whole entire community could come and see basketball games. And then all of them have a performing arts center. Okay. Well Branch, who was built in 2010, we got a cafeteria with a stage in it for performing arts and only 1 gym. The reason they said that we got that was because of the simple fact that we only had maybe 500 students that would go to our school. Some of y'all who went to some large high schools might laugh. Shut up. Because regardless of the number of the school, it wasn't the quantity, it was the quality of the students. And y'all gonna eat this up. Just wait. They had all those things, and we didn't have a performing arts center. We didn't have a second gym to host our games, so we had to use the practice gym. And the practice gym could only sit but so many people. It was sometimes where the fire marshals had to be outside of basketball games, or people were standing alongside the walls because there's no space for the bleachers. And these were all things that should have already been fully equipped before the school even opened. Now y'all are about to be a kicker at this, because remember I said the school there's another school, and I'm gonna say the school's name, May River. It was erected in 2014, and they were fully equipped with everything. Now their school was larger. I think their first class of students was probably somewhere around 1,500, maybe a little bit more than that. But also their school was in the wider part of the county, a more affluent part of the county, where there is much more business going on. But even still, if there are 5 other schools in the county, including the newest one that was just built 4 years after the second to last school, and we see all of this going on, there's a wealth disparity between the schools. There's a racial difference in the school. If it walk like a duck and it quack like a duck, then baby, it's a duck. So we're going to call a thing a thing. And I remember going to my first school board meeting, and it was by force. I lived with an aunt who was a former educator, a substitute teacher, very active and involved in the community, and that's just something that she instilled in me. It was already kind of one of those things that was instilled in me, like by my mother to care about my blackness. My grandmother to care about my faith, but it was something about actually moving to South Carolina that said pay attention to community, pay attention to the people you can actually hold hands and touch hands with. And that was the first time I had actually gotten involved with the community. I went to my first school board meeting. I just listened in. I was like, okay, this is an issue. This is a true issue. And then I began to talk to my band director at the school. I talked to my swim coach, who was also the basketball coach at the school. And, their attitudes for the situation was that it's unfortunate, but it's the cards that we were dealt. And I could tell that they wanted more, but they're answering to me very politically correct. And I'm like, okay. Okay. I look around my peers, and I can't say if, they truly knew what was going on. I knew that they loved their school. I knew they wanted more for our school as well. But I don't think they had the means to be able to go out here and, I guess, say anything about it, or be like, things are such closed off. And when you're a child, and it was 2016 still, so their biggest concern outside of schoolwork was making a dub smash dance. Like, and that's no shade. That's no shade at all. But they weren't worried about, or even paying attention to the fact like there's a racial or wealth disparity that is happening at our schools, and we're affected by it. We weren't paying attention to stuff like that. I wasn't even paying attention to stuff like that until I actually went to the school board meeting. That first school board meeting, they held them, I believe it was every other Tuesday. The next one that was held, because that one that was held was at our school, at Will Branch, the first one I went to. And then the second one was held at the county chambers. So I went to that one with my aunt, and I talked about it. I talked about the experience that I had with my band director, and I talked about the experience that I had with my coach. And then I also talked about how I went to one school's performance and how different it felt to be in a space where they could have a concert and give their family and their loved ones that experience of a theater. Whereas for me and my school, we had to have performances in gymnasiums, or we had to have them in the cafeteria, and have to, reform the whole entire cafeteria into an auditorium space. It's just like there's a stark difference in the experience when you lay it out plainly in front of people. And I said what I said in that first one, and there was some attention that I got that I wasn't sure that was good to be proud of. My community then felt very proud that, I guess, a child, saw that this was happening and felt responsible enough to speak on it. And for so long, the adults in the community had been the only one talking. But I think what was important was finally that they needed to see the youth actually being affected. I didn't think of it at that way at first. I just thought, like, we got to say something. Somebody need to be up here. And even if I don't get to see, these auditoriums in second gym when I graduate, I want the kids that come after me to be able to have that. They deserve that. And then this year there was a $1 million referendum. They could use that for whatever. So I was like, we deserve that too. We deserve that too. We deserve a piece of the pie. And we deserve what everybody else has. So it was just a continuous battle of going. And there were some nights where I stayed there till like midnight, there were plenty of tears that were shed because there were some nights where they would vote and they would not come to a conclusion. A lot of it had to do with politics. That had nothing to do with the community, had nothing to do with the students. It was all political, between county school board members and the superintendent. And here we are, the poorest, the blackest school, getting the butt end of that because y'all don't like the superintendent. Priorities wrong. And finally, after continuing to advocate, going every day, they finally passed the referendum in our favor to get the second gym and auditorium. And I just remember after coming from, each school board meeting, it then began to go into newspapers and then on the news, of, me and others in the community speaking. And it was something so nice or pleasant that my peers would come to me the next morning on Wednesdays and ask me, like, what happened, what's going on, are we gonna get it, are we not, when are we gonna get it, are we not, it was something pretty profound and proud to feel about that, because I was like, I'm not doing this for the adults, I'm not doing this for myself, I'm literally doing this for my peers, for y'all. Because remember, I'm not from this community. I came there for summers. My family is from there. But, I didn't go there from K through 8. K through 8, I spent all my years in Atlanta. So I'm just like, the fact that y'all are like, y'all have enough respect for me to come to me. Excuse me. It's so dusty in here, man. But the fact that y'all have enough, respect and love to come to me and look to me to get this information, and also just like to let me have the floor too to speak on y'all's behalf, like that's honorable. That's the word. That's honorable. To have the community of people who grew there, love it there, probably much more than me, respect me enough to talk on their behalf. That's honorable. And I really appreciate my classmates, a lot of whom I ended up finding out are my cousins. I appreciate y'all. I do. I say all of that to say that I was only 14 when I did that. But even before then, there's something about my voice and in the capacity that I use it that has been able to touch people and sometimes bring people together. And it's nothing that I've ever wanted to do. I never set my sights on wanting to do that. Like I said, it's just in me. But it's something I did run away from not wanting to do. I don't know. It's just like there's a level of responsibility that comes with. And I felt that especially like when I was doing TikTok. When I was doing a lot of, social justice advocacy and like always submersing myself in the news. Like I'm talking about reading article after article after article after article of all of the atrocities and all the things that I wanted to care about. And you open your eyes a little bit and you start seeing like, damn, this world is really mucked up. Like I felt like I had to care about everything. It got to a point. I felt like I had to be an advocate for everything. And then let's not even talk about, the fact that sometimes, when you're shadow banned, when you're shadow banned, you don't get the interaction that you used to. So now it feels like what I'm saying is falling on deaf ears, or it doesn't even matter anymore. And I just began to feel like a pressure and a responsibility on me that was just like so heavy, like that is just humanly impossible. Like to feel like you gotta fix everything or feel like you gotta be involved in a part of everything. Like it's humanly impossible to feel that way. Or no, it's humanly possible to feel that way, but it's humanly impossible to feel like to fix it. And especially to feel like you gotta fix it on your own too. And so going through that experience in on TikTok, I was just like, okay, let me put my attention to like the real world. And so I started putting my attention to the real world again, and started focusing on the community that I could touch again, which was what I did the first time, which was what made advocacy so easy, even though it felt so heavy because, you know, it was like a lot of no's with that referendum, y'all. It was a lot of no's and a lot of nights where I had to just accept that these people don't care. They don't care if, you know, we're the smallest, poorest, blackest school in the county, that they don't care if them voting no makes them look bad on their character. Like, if it's not aligning with the political situation at hand that they're more concerned about, they don't care. So I had to accept that, you know, they didn't care. But on the back end of that, what I also had to accept that it's in me to care. It's in me to care. And I didn't want to accept that. Cause hey, everybody should be caring around here. Everybody should be caring around here. But it's like, if I accept the fact that I care, I can unconsciously allow people to do the same. I can allow people to do the same by showing what's in me. I don't gotta put it on them, but I can definitely let them know that it's in them too. And so that brings me to today. During the protest, again, it was an overwhelming feeling of like pride that I got from a lot of my peers who know me in real life, who reached out to me via social media, who saw the 50-51 day protest. And I felt honored again because I'm not from South Carolina, yet I was speaking at the State House to native South Carolinians. I acknowledged the fact that this state is a state separated by color through the means of railroads and bridges, and how those effects have really done a good job of keeping us from seeing that we are more alike than we are different. And especially in these times now where it's like, it doesn't matter if you live on one side of the track or the other, or one side of the bridge or another. Yeah, y'all are all getting hit, and everybody's going to be in a state of desperation. But what I didn't want to feel was like this level of responsibility that I felt the first time. What I didn't want to feel was like it was all on me. I just didn't want to feel like, you know, I was supposed to be like some sort of black messiah, or some sort of like Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. Like, that's not who I want to be. Those are revolutionaries in a beautiful right, who I just don't know if I could ever live up to. But what I do want to do is definitely bring people together like them in whatever capacity I can. It don't got to be a public stage like that. Even if it's just like this, I'd actually rather do it like this. But hey, what if that is my calling? I have to accept that. But one thing that, you know, I told to a lot of people who is like, you know, I'm so proud of you for using your voice. Thank you for using your voice. Those things, I, you know, expressed my gratitude. But beyond that, I said, you know, use your voice too. Use your voice too. We all have a voice. We all have a fight in us in one way or another that we are just tired of. We either tired of being mistreated personally or systemically. We tired of being overlooked. We tired of being judged. We're tired of being misjudged, perceived wrong light. We're tired of not being given a chance. We're tired of having to overly prove ourselves. We're tired of the person next to us being mistreated. We're tired of we're tired of a lot of shit. We tired of a lot of shit. And my thing is I'm just like, you tired too. I'm tired too, but you tired too. So what you gonna do? Like my homegirl say, you gonna barbecue or you gonna mildew? Because a lot of us been mildewing for a little too long and it stank. So accept your voice too. I don't care if, like I said, I don't care if you as quiet as a mouse or as loud as an elephant, use your voice. Even if you're nonverbal, maybe write a letter. Or, create some art. We all got a voice. We all have something in us. We all have something in us. We all have something, someone in us who is asking us to fight. I've been saying for a minute, like, complacency isn't an option when it comes down to a lot of the things that are happening in the world. But I want to take that a step lighter and say, like, complacency is not an option in life, period. Like, there's just things that cannot be like, you can't sit your hands on. You got to get up. You got to fight for something. You got to do something. And I say to all of y'all that y'all are beautifully artistic and creative and scholarly and intellectual. We have brains and we all can use them, and we have the means to go out here and gain knowledge. And even if you feel like you can't gain knowledge from by yourself, gain it from somebody else. Put your pride to the side and let your ego go, and immerse yourself in change. Accept that we are living in a time where change is possible, where change is actually being encouraged. And accept that you can change it too. A lot of people, I don't think, know where to start. A lot of people don't know how they can change. And it's all about looking within. I can't tell you what it took for me to say I accept it. I really can't, because it's just something that was in me that said do it. And then I had people outside telling me to do it. And there's people around you telling you to do the thing that's going to make a change in your life or in somebody else's. It's something in you telling you to do that too. So listen to both of them and make them work in tandem. I don't really have much else to say other than to say thank you for listening to me on here. And I pray that, my words encourage y'all to use your voice and accept the things that are in you. Don't just accept the circumstances that we're in, because just accepting the circumstances equals complacency. But accept the circumstances and find a way. That creates change. That's change making. Before we go completely, I do want to say another notation. And I actually have two, but I think this is the one I want to focus on today. And this is to how to attract. Like, how to attract the thing that's in you or the things that you want. Is listen. Calm your nervous system, number 1. Ask your soul what it truly wants, number 2. Your soul. Okay? Ask your soul. Not your mind, not your heart, your soul. Focus on your intention. Be specific. That's number 3. Imagine the feeling of it happening. Number 4. Let go of expectations. Number 5. But then number 6 is to dwell in gratitude. Thank y'all again for listening to me. I'm going to let y'all go now. And please remember that no matter how hard the day, try your very best to choose joy and to use your voice. I'll see y'all on the next episode. Y'all take it easy.